Welcome back to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to beat Francis Ngannou. In today's video, from this past weekend, we saw Francis Ngannou win the heavyweight championship of the world. So what's making him so special that we've seen? And it's that power. He's been knocking out everyone. So the big question coming into this fight was, can he stand those takedowns of Stipe, that pressure, the movement, the distance control? And we saw a lot of great development in Francis Ngannou. So let's talk about first what makes him so dangerous. And the thing we all know is that power shot. But we've seen times like when he fought Rosenstruck where it just got super wild, right? He threw everything with big bombs, with big power, and he just overthrew his punches. So if Matt throws the big bomb, he's throwing, and the big criticism was, look at him throw, his hands are down, his face is open. But when you commit to a combination with so much power, with so much aggression, even if I decide to counterpunch Francis Ngannou, I'm going to be in trouble. He hits harder, he hits more aggressive, and when he throws, there's no hesitation. It's to decapitate you. So that's what makes his combination so dangerous. He throws it with such confidence. Now, when we saw him fight guys like Alistair Overeem, a K1 champion, known for his striking. So even though we saw a lot of those, technical errors, the hands down, the overthrowing of the punches, the chin up, he's still knocking people out. So the thing was, can Overeem use that technical striking, keep him away? But even that power of Ngannou, there's little subtleties that he throws. If you notice, at first, he throws big looping shots. So if I'm here, I can maybe block one, I can block two. But the key is, guys want to shoot for the legs. So the intelligent Francis Ngannou, every so often, will mix in the uppercut. So when guys try to come in, he bombs these punches. That uppercut for a big power striker is important because I need to dip my level to take the leg. Boom. And that's where you get caught, and that's where you get hurt. And we've also seen so much power where even if guys attack the single, right? If I'm attacking the single leg, he's got so much power that he can hammer fist you out and still hurt you, right? So that's what's making him so dangerous. And what's even adding to that, in his last fight here with Stipe Miocic this last weekend, we saw him do things that a lightweight would do, a more technical striker. So, for example, the first thing he did, Matt's gonna be Francis, is we saw low kicks, right? We saw Stipe try to keep his distance because you wanna stay away from that power. So we saw Francis Ngannou use, boom, low kicks, right? If I'm scared of power, the first thing I'm gonna do is put my head back. So when I even think that he's gonna throw, I move my head, leaves my leg, and now you're seeing a big, powerful, heavy puncher use low kicks. And I think that was a smart addition to his game because everybody's so scared of the punch that it leaves the leg open. So that was a very strategic, addition to his game. I even saw body kicks. At one point, we saw Francis Ngannou go southpaw and all of a sudden whip a hard body kick. With those big legs, you see big quads, hamstrings, big glutes, strong hips. Those big power kicks can do a lot of damage. So seeing him add these little subtleties to his game made him that much better. And the more impressive thing, we saw jabs, right? In his past fights, everything was big, looping, big power shots, but we saw him jab to the head, jab to the body. All of a sudden, feinting hands, I move my head, he's kicking the leg. So we're seeing a strategic setup. All of those are little subtleties for him to land the big power shot. So how do you beat him now? All right, so the big talk is Jon Jones. And I think Jon Jones does have the keys to beat it, and this is how you beat Francis, and this is why Jon Jones does well. The first thing you have to understand by fighting a big power puncher like this is understanding range and distance control. So right away, when we saw that Stipe Miocic fight, the first and the second one here, he was doing a good job at first at managing the distance. So what that means is, against a power puncher, I don't want to stay in mid-range. If Ngannou can hit me from here, I am too close. I am way too close. So I need to be here. So if the punch comes, I'm out. Or I need to have him here, clinched up, having control of his hands. The last thing I want to do is sit in mid-range and throw. Why we saw Stipe get knocked out, which was the biggest mistake of all, was opening up in mid-range, right? We saw him land a shot. He thought he did some damage. But when you're in mid-range and you open up here, no matter what it is, and Ngannou's little lead hand, boom, got caught because he's so powerful, he's so heavy that in mid-range, you cannot open up your strike. So the key number one to beating Francis Ngannou is understanding your distance and control. How do you approach that now? So I'm going to be outside. And now when I feel pressure, I have to feint, right? I feint because I need a reaction, from my opponent, in this case, Francis Ngannou. So at least feinting like this, it might make him think twice and let me move, right? So I need to see what he's bombing. I know his big rear hand is his bombing shot, but with the advancements in his striking, the jabbing, it made it a little bit more difficult. So this is why feinting from Stipe should have been more important than ever, because we need to see what shot's coming. So the feinting, boom, I don't know what's happening, boom, I'm out here. The last thing I'm gonna do now is from here, I see reaction coming up here. I get caught, I get hurt. So distance control, I'm either out here, so when Francis throws, boom, I'm out of range, or I feint my way in and I grab, I try to stay here, fatigue his arms, tire him out, push him against the cage. I need to tire him out with movement. And ideally, what we saw Stipe doing, you can't throw much in the first round. Against a big power striker, right? This is strategy 2, is not throwing volume punches. Against the power puncher, they're most likely going to counter my punches. So I need to be strategic how I throw, especially in the first 1 or 2 rounds, right? So if John Jones is approaching this fight, he's staying really long with his distance, feinting, which he does really well, and he closes distance safely. Right? So that's the managing of the distance. He's good with hand control, right? This is what we want. Control Ngannou's hands. But the idea of striking now, I can't sit here. As soon as I maybe throw a 1-2, that big bombing counters are coming right away. So strategy 2, once you've managed distance and you decide to close, 1, you see me come in with closed hands, boom, I might hit a single shot, boom, hit and move. So the idea is I need to throw a single shot and move. The last thing you want to do is throw combinations in 2s and 3s, because now you're giving, Francis Ngannou the option to counter, right? You don't want to do that. So let's bring it back. Distance control, managing out or in. I'm not playing in mid-range. If I am going to attack, right, I'm attacking from here. Now I could push off, attack, and then get out right away. I'm not stepping in from here to attack. The last thing I want, I need to shut down the counter, out or in. When I do throw, it's in a single and move, feinting, single and move, ideally using the jab because it's the safest. If I'm committing to a big shot, look at my face, everything is open. But if I play with my lead hand and I move a little bit and I feint, and I'm here, at least now I could escape faster, right? The idea is jab, when the counter right comes, boom, I get out, right? He comes, I throw, yes, boom, feint, come in. Now I'm here. Play this for 1, 2, 3 rounds and go. Now, the last thing you want to do is not overthrow your strikes. When you overthrow your strikes against a big power puncher, what happens, it leaves you open. Now, big knockouts we've seen from Francis Ngannou, right? The Rosenstruck, the Alistair Overeems, and now the Stipe Miocic. It's all happening when guys feel they need to open up too much to throw. So there's a difference, right? If I'm looking here in the camera, I'm technical, right? You see everything tight, I'm not throwing things. As soon as I throw a big right hand, for example, right? Technical, tight. As soon as I do this, look at that opening space. And a big power puncher to come in, stepping in, it's too dangerous. So be smart, don't overthrow your punches in that first round, and that's how Miocic got hit, right? Boom, and then he gets excited, boom, you get caught easily coming in, all right? So understanding these concepts when fighting someone like Francis Ngannou, it's not necessarily about Francis Ngannou. You could apply these strategies and principles to any fighter who's a big power puncher. They don't necessarily have to be bigger. It can be someone in your weight class who's just known as a heavier puncher, but these are the strategies that you need to make sure you use, okay? So make sure you keep liking and subscribing to Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA. Make sure you support the channel sponsors, Perfect Sports Nutrition, code Bazooka20 for 20 off, Hayabusa by going to hayabusafight.com, and supporting Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA by going to bazookashop.com, and we'll see you next week here at Bazooka Kickboxing and MMA.